We're live. Welcome. This is Dish Rant. This is a psychotic, disjointed series that I do here on YouTube. I guess you could call it a series because I've done it more than one time. But basically, somebody offers me a subject on the email, which is dancerspodcast@gmail.com. When I don't have time to sit down and do dancers, I'll just do one of these to answer the question. And I got a really good question, so I thought, hey, why not do one of these? And in the meantime, why not also shut off... Oh no, I'm giving a look at my apartment, which is very scary. No one find out where I live. I also get to shut off my refrigerator because it's very loud. But somebody gave me a good subject that I could kind of chew my teeth into. You know that old expression, chew my teeth into? An old expression I could chew my teeth into, which is, when do you know it's time to take a break? Seems like a simple question, right? But there's a lot of social context to that question now that I think requires a level of addressing. Now, you have the two factions, right? Two warring factions always at odds. Never the twain shall meet. You have hustle culture, wake up and grind, and you have self-care culture, sleep and... I was going to say sleep and wine, but that seems like I'm painting one in a negative. And let me say, there's incredibly annoying people on both ends of the spectrum. This is going to be a consistent thread through all of these, is me letting you know that there are incredibly annoying people on both sides of these sorts of arguments. And I'm actually going to start with the one that you may not hear as much criticism of, which is self-care culture. Now, self-care, incredibly important. In fact, I think as far as like our current society, but as far as our current society goes, self-care is probably of the two, maybe the more needed one. I say that with a deep grain of salt, but because the issue with self-care is there is an industry propping up self-care. Because self-care can't just be you taking a break, getting more sleep than you got before, because for the most part, there's no way to make money from that. In fact, to get self-care, you need to buy a $50 a day membership to a spa in your neighborhood that does they do different therapies like float tanks, they do saunas, they do radiation therapy where they blast you full of gamma rays and they say hey, this is actually really good for your lymph nodes. What gamma radiation therapy does, and I don't want to harp too much on it, but I do have a sponsor, gammaradiationtherapy.com. What it does is it offers what is called tactical expansion of the lymph nodes, okay? So when you're getting gamma rayed, when they're shooting a high level of gammas in ray form into your body, what it's doing is it's stretching your lymph nodes out, which allows you to better grind and girl boss throughout your day. But that is kind of the issue, is that self-care culture is sort of this ugly twin of rise and grind culture, because it's hustle, self-care, hustle, self-care, hustle, self-care. You got to grind it out to be an absolute girl boss, and then you need to absolutely spend all of that money repairing your fucking damaged psyche that you broke during the awful life that you've created for yourself. That's the issue with and the second issue with self-care, which again, as an idea, I love it. As it is applied in current culture, dog shit. the second thing that's wrong with self-care is that it is used by people, like this is more personal, but I think it's used by people in the arts who have like a legitimate pursuit that they actually want. Self-care can very often be a barrier between people and finishing their pursuit. Now, that is not to say that mental health is not important. That is not to say that people need breaks for their mental health. There's a lot of artists, creatives, all those people that absolutely do need more breaks than they actually take. But I also know a lot of people who are like, I'm a writer, I write, I'm a writer. Oh, how often do you write? Well, I haven't written in the last 4 months because I'm doing self-care. I'm trying to take self-care. That's great. That's fine too. If you need to take a long break, that's okay. I just see a trend of people using self-care as an excuse not to only do the bare minimum, which means like doing your shitty job that you got in the first place so you could support your creative endeavor, and then that creative endeavor just ends up never happening. There needs to be, I feel, this is my opinion, a level of fuck you. A guy told me that. A guy, I used to go to a jiu-jitsu gym, and there was a great guy, Dave Roy, I believe his name was. And he said this really great thing to me. He was like, you have to be very technical, you have to be good, but there needs to be a little bit of fuck you in what he was talking about, jiu-jitsu. Which means you can be perfect and technical and everything, but there needs to be a little thing in your head that when things start like not going your way and the technical shit doesn't start working and like things aren't perfect, you have to be like, fuck you, and maybe do something that in the short term is a little bit costly, but will help your spirits. Because there's a lot of, I mean, unfortunately, and it's not their fault, but there's a lot of very weak-spirited people in the world. And it's not their fault, it's because, you know, they were never given the tools or whatever to come out of that. So those people, I think, have kind of low motivation, and self-care is a way that they can get out of it. Self-care is a way that they can sort of go, oh, well, I'm actually doing the right thing by not doing anything to sort of better myself or move whatever I'm doing forward. Because it's good to take 8-month breaks all the time in my pursuit. And the answer is, unfortunately, many things are crafts. And anyone who does a craft will tell you that you have to do the craft for a really long time and consistently to be good at it. There's always exceptions. People love to trot out those exceptions when they're giving excuses why they don't want to do the thing that they say that they're going to do. So they say they're set out to do. They love being like, oh, well, this guy wrote a book in 3 days, and it's because he da-da-da-da-da-da. Hey, let me tell you right now, you ain't that guy. You ain't that guy. And it took me a long time to realize I ain't that guy, okay? Took me a long time to realize that it doesn't matter how talented you hope you are, you're not. You're just not. Everybody needs to hear that. And this isn't me being like, I think it is important to tell kids that they're like special. There's a lot of people who are like, oh, the issue with why no one has work ethic anymore. I think people had just as bad work ethic before. I think we've brought out a generation after generation of poor work ethic. But I think people just put their work into different things and are given different incentives, and that's why the world is different. But I think it is important to like give kids positive feedback and be like, "Hey, you're great. Like, you're da 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 da." But so that's the. But there's like a dark negative if you go too far into making people think that they're exceptional. Special is fine. Exceptional is not. Because special, everybody is special because everybody is different, but everybody is not exceptional because everybody is special. And I think everybody, in general, is given a similar tool set. Now, you know, if you're born 6'9", you're probably going to be better suited for basketball. Obviously, if you're born 5'5", you're obviously better suited for being incredibly powerful and cunning and perfect in every way. I'm not 5'5". I need to make that clear. Do you see that moment of insecurity where I'm 5'10", and I said I was 5'5", and I need to be like, oh, I need people to think you know what, I'm 5'2". Fuck you. How about that? Fuck you. So that's where that is. That's where self-care, ugly cousin of grind culture, and also used to deter people sometimes, if it's used wrongly, from following their goals. Now let's go to grind culture. What grind culture makes you do and think is, grind culture makes you think you're doing good by working yourself to a point where you're hurting yourself. It makes you think that the objective is to be tired and exhausted, when really it's a byproduct. Like, working super hard, like a lot of grind culture is like, you should sleep for 3 hours a day, which, by the way, no, you should sleep for 8 hours. Every single thing, like, scientifically says you should sleep for at very, very least 6 to 8 hours. But probably 8 hours is what you should be sleeping. Grind culture also has created a number of memes and meme pages that I love, okay? And I want to say thank you to grind culture for making those memes of guys that are like stepping out of Bugattis, and it's like, why have girlfriend when you could have $1 billion? That, I think that's funny. I find joy in sharing those with my friends. But the issue with grind culture is grind culture makes you think you're doing something just because you're hurting yourself. Grind culture makes you think you're building a business when really you're getting into a marketing scheme. But the most insidious and worst thing about grind culture is it hijacks this very real thing, and this very good thing in certain people's minds, where they go, I want to work very hard, and I want to be someone who is respected. Grind culture takes those sorts of like ideas in people's head, and it subverts them into these kind of get-rich-quick schemes. I've seen so many guys that are like, grind set, wake up every morning, do 1,000, da-da-da-da-da, get into multi-level marketing. And I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that those people want it so bad, and they want to be seen as a guy who is like, I am a man of business. And that's fine. If you end up being a business guy, it's like, you know, if you're being relatively ethical and you're not fucking people over all the time or whatever, I don't really have a problem with that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this unfortunate state of both rising and then afterwards grinding that leads usually young men into these bullshit jobs that they think. But what's really happening is the person at the top of that job knows who you are, knows that they can take advantage of you. And listen, hey, talking from experience here, okay? I thought I was gonna be a business guy, and I would often at jobs be like, I'll work for no money. You should be working for money. You should always be working for money. This is like the word. I mean, they're gonna just play this at like a charter school that's about to be closed down, and the teacher just has nothing. The teacher ran out of Little Mermaid, like versions of the Little Mermaid to show the kids. So he's like, hey, all right, we got this guy. He makes videos. He swears a little bit. He looks disheveled. He's in a kitchen, but it will take 15 minutes of class time. So we're going to watch this guy's video. And then they put this video on, and the next day the school closes down. The next day the people of the school are like, all right, well, this is too much. But no, it makes me sad because I do like hard work. I like working hard. I think that people who work hard are usually cool and usually like happier. But you need to put that work in the right place. And that's the worst thing about like rise and grind culture is it puts the emphasis on the work instead of the like what you're doing. You're waking up at 6 a.m. to sit in your room and do nothing. Like a lot, or to, you know, sell some bullshit that you don't actually believe in. And that's an issue too. In comedy, I see people who are going to 10 mics a night talking about fucking nothing, but they think because they work hard They deserve some form of acumen. They deserve some level of respect. And they don't. You don't. No one deserves... Well, you deserve a level of respect, but you don't deserve, like, outcome. You know what I mean? And that's the issue. Was this interesting? Did anyone enjoy this? I guess we'll find out after I post it. Thank you for watching. I'm going to keep doing these. I appreciate you.